name? What's your question?
My name is Victoria, and my friend Colleen and I are here from Fort Hood. My question is...
We're so grateful that you guys are here, and I'm so grateful for what you do. The one thing that we hang on to is the fact that this is absolutely what we have been called to do. And maybe that's the one thing we have in common with those that serve in the military, is that, Lord willing, they are certain that that's what they're supposed to be doing, because it makes a world of difference knowing that this is exactly where God wants us and has us, and that it's not in vain, and that He's not a God of chaos. And so as much as I am so glad that you guys are here, and there may be some others that are here, and I'm sure there are people here that, whether you are directly from Fort Hood, that you have loved ones, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, maybe people generations past, your family, that at some point have served in protecting our freedom. And long before all the tragedies that took place at Fort Hood, we have taken it upon ourselves every night to say that you are our absolute heroes. Not just those that are in the soldiers that are there, but their wives and the families that understand what it means to sacrifice. I think there's a generation that sometimes is a little underwhelmed by what it means to serve. And we don't want to be guilty of that. And I think that hopefully everybody understands, if you see somebody in uniform, stop and tell them thanks. I'm pretty sure they don't get tired of it. And Fort Hood, we're from the Dallas area, and I grew up there, and half of my family was in the Guard, and so I spent a lot of summers at Fort Hood. We were blessed to be there when the troops came back that actually caught Saddam, and our heart is somehow connected, especially with Fort Hood. And when all the stuff took place, man, it was a little too close to home, which I'm sure, you're in Austin, you can completely relate, because that stuff happens somewhere else, and all of a sudden when it happens in your own backyard, it's like a wake-up call. And a few days ago, we were contacted by Washington, and they were trying to see if they could move this show to Fort Hood. And because of all the circumstances, it wasn't possible. And so we reached out and tried to invite people to come over. And man, we have been chomping at the bit for this moment. It's special for us every night to say thank you. But God has called us as a ministry to minister to people that are hurting. And there's no place we'd rather be than here tonight, and with anybody that's impacted by this. And I kept telling myself, I lay in bed at night, and I keep saying, what am I going to say? It's like losing a loved one, period. What do you say? I just wasn't sure what we were supposed to do with this moment. And the only thing that keeps coming to mind is that no matter how bad things get, and no matter how out of control things seem, and no matter how we feel about the situation, no matter how much it feels like that God maybe has turned his back on us, or blinked for a second, or somehow just miscalculated this, and whatever the case is, the bottom line is, regardless how bad it gets, God never for a second stepped off of his throne. And so I guess the only thing I could say is that God's still God. And I would never want to be guilty of taking what happened at Fort Hood too lightly, because that's certainly not the case. But at our very, very worst as humans, because we will go to great lengths to screw this up, he'll still somehow get his glory. Our paths with the military became very closely linked a year or so ago. We had written a song on our album, All That Is Within Me. I'm gonna wrap my arms around my dad's neck, tell him that I missed him.